My old boy's getting old now. The yellow around his snout's gone to gray. His elbows are worn out into patches. His eyes are runny and glassy. He's limping since he got hit by that car. It's been a faithful companion. Now he's fading. I'm keeping a spot for him in the garden so he can always be nearby. I hope he goes gently into the night so I don't have to shoot him. Let him always know you care. Give us a like, leave a comment, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast, and don't forget to turn on the notification button. It'd mean a lot to him and me.
Hope I don't have to shoot him.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's No BS News Hour with my main man,
Live from downtown Detroit, it's the No Bullshit News Hour with Charlie LeDuff.
No bullshit! It's just it, breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
Oh, sad, Charlie.
Yeah, well, the old boy went on Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He went quietly. Just went to sleep. I didn't want to grieve publicly. I don't want any sympathy since everybody's tearing up my ass. But, give us a like. Give us, thumbs up, share. He's a faithful boy. He was a real fan of the show. He's been on it. And, God rest you, Rupert. But I didn't really want to deal with anybody because, getting my ass torn up. I'm not getting my ass torn up.
No, you aren't, Charlie.
So, you're
not.
The deal is on Saturday, either I resigned or I was terminated from my column at the Detroit News, which, it's neither here nor there. That's inside baseball. I don't want to litigate private conversations. But, I'm apparently inappropriate, misogynistic towards the Attorney General. Yeah.
Says who?
Well, that's the part where you go, where you set it up and go like, well, look, Thursday, we laid out to you this case about the old woman who's being abused in the nursing home, and it's allegedly trying to bill her estate. The woman's nursing home bill is $20,000 in arrears, and the person trying to supposed to be taking care of her isn't, and is trying to bill the insurance company for $50,000 in services towards the woman that the nursing home alleges didn't happen. Okay. That's the treasurer of the Democratic Party and a friend of Dana Nessels and the governor's. So we wrote it, as you know. And the Attorney General's office opened an investigation, closed it, and half a year later, I got a hold of the documents. The Attorney General's own director of financial crimes put out a big statement saying the Attorney General's not to know about it. The Attorney General's not to inquire about it. Do not talk to her about it. She may not see the files. We find out she did. She was talking to the suspect of an active criminal investigation, trying to find out if it's closed and how her friend get the documents. And 2 weeks later, it's closed, only to find out 2 weeks after that, another law enforcement agency has opened a case concerning Kornak, the woman, and quite possibly, many others.
Wow.
All right. So Nessel puts out a statement, it's very weird. It's a press release, nothing to me, like, of all the mistakes. That's where we left it.
One without no retractions, not asking for retraction or correction, because it was a very well-sourced story that you wrote, the column.
I thought so.
Well, the evidence is there. You talked to the whistleblower.
Right.
I mean, we
had
saw
him on the show.
Yeah, we saw Joe last week. So
just how this thing laid out, before I tell you how there's going to be no apology, none whatsoever, is Friday morning. This comes out from the publisher and editor of Detroit News, Gary Miles, who writes to. This isn't in the paper, I don't believe. And it was in a newsletter and it was tweeted, but it was never answered. He wrote on Friday morning, "Good morning. At 3:28 Wednesday, I received an email from the acting legal counsel representing Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel alleging errors in Charlie LeDuff's Wednesday column. This piece laid out how Nessel had breached an internal legal firewall as her office investigated Tracy Kornack, a Nessel friend, for alleged billing irregularities in the care of a West Michigan patient. Because I was moving between meetings, I hadn't yet opened the email when at 3:53, Nessel's office sent to 30,531 press release subscribers a missive entitled Department of Attorney General Responds to Incorrect Claims, published by the Detroit News in letter to editor Gary Miles." He goes on, "This unusually legalistic public and personal approach to pointing out alleged mistakes was curious, but did not alter our process of immediately reviewing the piece for possible errors. We have found none. Boom. We did find at least 2 false or misleading statements in the AG office's letter, which I have pointed out in a reply that I will send today. The balance of the AG counsel's letter espouses that Nessel's intercession did not violate the firewall, nor did it pressure her staff to close the investigation she was inquiring about with urgency. Worthy of additional scrutiny is a postscript of sorts on the press release. It asserts that pieces published in the opinion section are, quote, not held to a new standard of accuracy and are not required to be grounded in any facts, unquote. I don't know whose editorial standards Nessel's office was citing, but it certainly wasn't citing ours. We do expect commentary to be grounded in facts. In fact, the false or misleading statements in the letter the AG's office sent to us render it ineligible to run on our opinion pages as a letter to the editor. We do expect a grounding in facts. Charlie's columns lives up to that expectation and then some." All right.
So what was the problem?
So then, that's not appearing anyway. That's not good enough for me. So I posted it with the note, "The jury is in, Madam Attorney General, see you next Tuesday," which creates an internal shitstorm. See you next Tuesday, an acronym CUNT. Cunt.
Except he did spell it out, SEE.
See you
No,
next.
but he
A
spelled
lot of
out
people
SE.
did not know what it meant.
I had no idea. I really didn't. And so I said, is that a suburban thing? Like, is that a what? Like, what is it? Because I didn't know what it was. I called Mark and we talked about it because I had no idea.
Okay, the cloud runs on Tuesday. Too clever by half. Because if I want to use the word, I'm going to use the word. No one ever gave me a award for being debonair. From around here, I'm rough, I'm coarse. But if I want to use that word, I will use it. I'm not afraid to use it, and you'll know what I use it, and I reserve the right to use it.
What does that word mean to you, Charlie?
I'm not, what does cunt mean to me?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm only asking because, I mean, obviously
Wait
some
a minute,
people
well,
are offended by it. I mean, just saying, what does it mean?
I didn't use it, first of all.
Okay,
so
you did not.
I want to.
Okay, you did not. All right.
Okay, a cunt is a detestable person, guy or gal. I don't care what gal say. I use it. I call him a cunt. You'll know when I use it, right? But I'm using a double entendre here.
Okay.
Runs on two. I'm not making an excuse. What I meant by it was fuck you all. Period. You're liars. There's something corrupt and contemptible going on in there, right? All of you, whether your name is Dana or Danny or Zach or Chad or anybody in on the group, ripping off an old lady, I'll see you next Tuesday.
Gotcha.
Okay, now I didn't get to see you next Tuesday. I was on everybody else's programs seeing you next Tuesday, but it's
You
Thursday.
didn't say where. You just said, I'll see you next Tuesday. So, okay, that was still good.
That's when the column usually runs.
Yeah, I know.
Or
Well, it
did.
posts online on
And
Tuesday.
I'm not bending a knee.
Right.
And look, okay, so I tell my friends, they're like, you okay? You lost a job? I didn't lose a job. That was peanuts. I put all kinds of work into it. You and I got him a shitload of subscriptions. It's something to actually read where we don't bend the knee. I'm not bending a knee. There's an old woman who wears a hockey helmet to bed. She's 90 years old, and her estate is being emptied out. And nobody wrote a word? Nobody's followed this?
No.
Not only that, do you have any idea if anybody from that office replied to Gary's letter? Because he said he was going to send it and mention the inaccuracies. Do you have any idea?
How would I know?
I don't know. I mean, when you talk to Gary on Saturday.
How would I know about any of this? All I know is...
My point being, it's getting lost.
Right.
She's skating, right? She's getting away from the story.
But that's what a lot of people were saying, that, okay, fine, if you're offended by what Charlie said, that's okay, we get it. But what about the story? What about the accusations? What about this old lady? Her inaccuracies. And like you said, I mean, when she responded, she didn't challenge any of what you said. I mean, so...
she challenged everything, and I quote... I'm not quoting, I'm going to paraphrase. You lied about it. Which you lied about all kinds of shit. You lied about your vacation in Turks and Caicos because none of the political press has asked or pressured her to see some canceled check.
She's off the hook with that one.
Clarence Thomas, the New York Times goes after him for his RV, and he says they paid back the loan. The press keeps banging the drum. The Senate held hearings, find out he never paid back the loan. Good. Because he's corrupt. Gotta go. What about on the other side?
Not here.
What about Flint? She's off the hook with Flint. The first thing she blew up when she got into office.
Right.
And told everybody it was a political vendetta and she was going to do it. What about Benton Harbor? Okay, I don't want to do whataboutisms, but it shows you the pattern.
What has she done? Nothing.
Where's anybody doing anything?
Well, where's the accountability? Who's holding her accountable? Who's holding her feet to the fire?
Oh, no, I'll be accountable.
I know you will.
Right? Yeah. I guess I'm accountable. But, this comes internally. This was complaints by the political press. And I could give two shits because I think they're garbage. Nobody reads them.
But, I mean, and you've been a reporter, a journalist for a long time. That, to me, is odd coming from someone that is technically your colleague. I mean, if they thought it was something wrong, why didn't they pick up the phone and say, hey, Charlie, this is you, but, whatever. And then to call for your resignation or firing, and they work for the same publication.
It's weak.
That's concerning to me as a resident from an entity that should be doing something different.
It's a bullshit move. I'll say it.
Thank you.
I don't have a boss other than you.
Well, no, and it's not. And
I'm real careful. Like, my social media doesn't list my employer.
Right.
That's I'm American. Yeah. I'm free to say what I want. Okay, fine.
Are you?
Want to split hair? I am. I am not bending a knee because the last paragraph of that column I wrote is there's a long-running and wide-ranging investigation into Miss Cornack. If they find some things, and I don't know if they will, and if they find she's done it to others, and I don't know if they will, and I don't know what a forensic accounting is going to unveil. I don't know. This could be the end of it. But if they do, well, who's the misogynist? Who abandoned the woman? Because people call me
all the time
as a man in this community, right? Not a kid, not an old person, but we have to have some structure and some righteousness. If you call me and you're in need, you're vulnerable, I try.
Mm-hmm. You do.
And so far, I've seen not a word written on this, only about me. Hey, watch this. It made it all the way to New York. I got calls from New York. It made it all the way to LA. So it backfired because now I get calls from the New York Times going, what's going on with this? Mm-hmm. Now they know. Now I inexpertly did it. I'm not apologizing to these colleagues. You better write something. You better do it honestly because it'll come around, I think. Even if it doesn't, I would feel worse about myself if I had written inaccurate stuff because I know what they would do. They would call in to question every other thing around here. All this corruption that's eating us alive. Now, I don't give a fuck.
And it is.
But I do have an apology to make. I do want to apologize to Gary Miles, and I want to apologize to Nolan Finley. I know them to be august, sober, even-keeled, world-class journalists. They took me under their wing. They brought me back home. I embarrassed them. I caused them internal stress. They treated me with dignity on this. And for that, I'm sorry. I'll always be sorry. But I'm not sorry for this because now you know. Now you get to see Hit Squad. And I want to say this to the so-called liberals or whatever, the people shouting misogyny. Misogyny doesn't have a gender-specific thing to it. You could be a woman who's accused of abusing an old woman. Who's not looking out for it?
What's the worst crime?
So who's the misogynist?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so women I know are getting hit with. I can't believe it would be the anti-Nestle wing of the world is probably pro-Nestle. Hitting people I know, females I know on social media that know me, and calling them cunts. So
what is this, high school?
Yeah.
This is
what I mean. Seriously, that's pretty elementary to me.
like
Well, if
It
it's
is.
so abhorrent, why are you doing it?
Yeah. Well, you did it, so
Yeah.
I say the servants of power are weak of body, they're weak of spirit, they have average mind, and I dare you, pick it up. I'm tired of you want to know why nobody reads these newspapers? They don't write about anything. I get like corruption 16 years after it happened, right? Or this former Speaker of the House drinking champagne and sleeping with his sister-in-law years after it happened. They're not
Well, it's
doing
too late,
anything.
yeah.
yeah.
And when they wonder why people think they're elitists or they're on a different level looking down the writers, this is a good example as to why. Because you're chastising somebody.
Yeah,
You're not the arbiter of morality. Just do some reporting.
But that's on you. That was very strange to me. I
That's
mean, that was very
incredibly
strange
weird.
and unprofessional.
You're supposed to
me.
be part of a team.
Well,
too.
yeah, and I don't. They always say that they don't eat their own. I've never seen anything like that.
Been eating something, this guy. Obviously.
Just like
Been
I've
eating
never seen.
something.
I mean, I know that's your
I believe
space.
he's posting pictures of his
I can't-
angina or like his colonoscopy or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, I can't say anything to that.
You gotta. Did you do that?
I have one coming up.
Are you gonna post the video?
God, no.
Oh,
no
my
one gives a
goodness.
shit. Almost literally.
My goodness.
You'll have a good nap though, Mark.
It's
So no,
this
I mean,
infuriates me.
let's.
I hate when people are offended on other people's behalf.
Yeah.
Or pretending like
Nobody
this
needs
is a
that.
major stain on the,
I-
the world of journalism.
but
Fuck off. You know what a major stain on the world of journalism is?
Is it
Not doing the work.
Other fuck yeah, right.
But this is the other thing. I'm not into the whole holier than thou thing. So, you're going to tell me, and I can say this about anybody that's ever written anything negative about anybody, better or worse. So you've never been late on a bill. You've never had an argument with your spouse or significant other. Your friends are all perfect. Everybody. No, that's not the case. So having a pen and a tub of ink doesn't give you the right to be condescending, negative, subjective. Like that part of it, I don't get. I don't.
Anybody that's writing anything of any relevance is gonna get something sometime. You've gotten
That means
it.
you're doing something
Yeah.
right.
You've gotten it. Others have gotten it.
And I was shaking my head that time when the same way I'm shaking it now. So I was like,
I
what?
can give two shits. This is peanuts.
Yeah, it's-
right? And I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Like, again, I know a case is going to be brought. I don't know what politics does. I don't know if charges are going to be brought. I don't know if deals are getting made.
Right.
But what Nestle did with Tracy Kornak is, again, I'll say it again, it's akin to Hunter Biden writing to the Attorney General Merrick Garland, saying, hey, I got a judicial appointment waiting for me in the Ukraine and need my passport back.
Hurry
What's
up.
up with the case? And then Garland writing to special counsel David Weiss saying, hey, I just talked to Hunter. He needs to know it's of the utmost urgency. His plane leaves on Saturday. Could you imagine?
No.
This is what's going on.
Favors.
Yeah.
And if you out there don't care and the nursing homes go away, this is the same crowd. When I sued the state of Michigan And none of the newspapers, no media in the trick bag, the servants of power, joined my lawsuit to get the data, what was going on in the nursing homes, because we kept children at home and wrecked their lives to protect this group of people. And we come to find out there was no data. It was inaccurate. It's at least 40% undercounted, at least probably double. Wow. Probably double. And when the independent audit comes out, they're all called in a room by the Whitmer administration, and they give the reasons why this is a piece of shit political hit audit, and they all wrote it, and they didn't see the audit.
Wow.
This is what's wrong.
But a $20 million marketing campaign is also not going to make these kinds of things go away and make this place attractive to folks. People want a quality of life where, like, we talked about safety, we talked about protecting our elders. I mean, all of those things that we talk about all the time. It shouldn't be a crapshoot, and it is. Yeah, and
anybody want to talk to me, I'll talk to you. And it's cool. I talk to a guy I know I've worked with. You know what I mean? Another dude that gets fired from the newspaper because he's speaking inappropriately to Charles Pugh, a child molester, right? Okay. I'll take exception to this in this way. Like, he wrote about this podcast. I've taken a lurch to the right. Maybe because some people that have a conservative view like to listen to a middle of the road. And I'm like, again, nothing against conservative points of view. I love my mother. I love my grandparents. It's what happens when you get older. The bullshit factor goes up. But I advocated for gun control. I thought that if you're selling long arms, semi-autos, rifles, right, privately to individual to individual, that you should have a background check, just like a pistol. That passed. I'm the one that Whitmer used in her commercials for, wait a minute, there should be some choice here. Like a 14-year-old's got to carry her uncle's rape baby. I did that, right? I'm the one that worked during the pandemic when all the media decided to go home to bed, and I'm processing the absentee ballots at TCF Center. I'm the one that stuck up for the process here. Could have made millions by lying and saying, yeah, it was fake. It wasn't fake. And I got the death threats out of Missouri. So
you're also the one that went after Snyder, right?
I called him a cocksucker. Nobody seemed to care.
And still,
but I said it directly. I didn't say, see you next. No, wait.
No, call.
See other.
I don't know.
Cookie carts.
But you've continued while everybody else has swept it under the rug to continue to advocate for the city of Flint. I mean, people have forgotten, Benton Harbor. People have forgotten about those issues. I mean, the demolition, the dirt. I mean, the issues that are going on here in the city that everybody's glossing and painting over on all these murals. I mean, the reality of the city still exists. You haven't forgotten about that.
No. Social media has made it really easy for people to clutch their pearls and fire something off and then finish whatever they're doing in the bathroom.
Yeah, but
as opposed to doing real hard work or just giving a shit about what people in power are doing.
But people have to understand, like, this is impacting your life. This is impacting your family's life. This is impacting the city.
They don't see it that way though. They hear a bad word.
Yeah, but it's like
they're aghast at it.
I don't know. And everything is okay being swept under the rug. Let's make sure that the grass is greener and the water is colder and everything's pretty. No, it's not. I mean, and nobody's telling you but Charlie. I mean, in terms of all these things that everybody is acting like doesn't exist.
Y'all remember the MSU shooter?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, McRae. Mm-hmm.
And all the consternation and Nestle using the candlelight vigil to cry to CNN. And I want to know why the shooter kept getting probation changes. And the chief of police is saying, we never responded to shots fired from this guy. And it cost me $1,000 out of my own pocket to know that it was a lie. I never asked that newspaper for the money back. And nobody ever followed up. And I even got a call from a reporter and sent her this stuff. And nobody followed up for your kids. Again, I'm never working for mainstream media again. Don't need to. Top of the heap. Sorry, guys, you can come over and smell my 2 Pulitzers. Come on over. And my bestsellers, they're right there in it. Sorry. Work harder. It's garbage. I know what you did. I sat here for years and watched you be fucking lapdogs to the money and the power and pretend you saw stuff going on. Well, come back Detroit Rising. Well, the air's out. The buildings are gone. They're trying to hustle the property tax again. Mm-hmm. But you don't see it because they didn't hand it to you. You don't stay up late. You know what they do? The horse race. Duggan doesn't have the votes. Well, why doesn't he have the votes? You know why he doesn't have the votes? Maybe because they're reading what we're doing and watching what we're doing and we're challenging what we're seeing. That's where it came from. I don't care. What I care is the bullshit way you did it. You're a pussy. And I'm glad you put your name on it.
No beep there?
I'm glad you put your name on it because I got something better to call you. Because I'm going to watch this case and there ain't going to be a scintilla. This isn't somebody in a deathbed dying that you never gave 2 shits about, that you all were out there promoting this auto reform. All of our bills were going to go down and they went up, and then 18,000 people, all the invalids started dying and you didn't do anything. And then the day Brian's dying, you show up. No, that's what you are. And I'm going to watch. And we're going to see how you best get on it, boy. And you'll find those columns here. As soon as I get the website, built up, but I'm making the house. You'll still find him here. That top-notch, #1 journalism. The one that got all the subscriptions, because ain't nobody coming there for you. And really, I don't care about the fancy-suited ladies out there or, the men that understand. You don't care about women. You don't. You care about you. You care about contracts. You care about jobs for your kids. You care about prestige. You care about being at a dinner table when you don't know you're actually the lapdog slurping out of the soup cistern. You're not invited there as an equal. What about us? We're dying. I picked the people. So that's it. No apology. I reserve the right to use it. I probably will. But I'd rather use worse words.
Like what?
Oh, inmate, former, the accused, the charged.
Corrupt,
contemptible. Please. Fraudulent. Please. Allegedly. I don't know. I'm just going off of documents. What law enforcement officials are telling me. We do that. We do that.
Not a press release document.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big election year.
Points.
Yeah. And don't worry about it. I got job offers. That's the funny thing here.
But see, that's the thing too, is that people are so beholden to a check and a job and a position with no power that they're willing to compromise their integrity and their character if they have any. That's never been you. That's never been me. I'm not a game player. I mean, I am not. And so, and that's why I tell Charlie all the time, I get invited to a lot of rooms. I don't get invited back. And that's okay. Like, I'm not an out person. If people tell me something, I walk around with a lot of secrets. But at the same time, I'm not one to sell my soul. I've never done anything for money, ever. Nothing. And so I have to applaud you. And people ask me all the time. I was actually a couple weeks ago thinking about writing a column on you, Charlie, because people ask all the time, you and Charlie are so different. How did you connect? And I said, Charlie and I share a commitment to the same mission. We may have different approaches towards it, but there's this thing called the common good. There's right and there's wrong. And, we want to see people do right and be done right by.
And here's the funny thing. You guys are so different. Yeah?
Are you?
And that's okay.
Are you that different?
Well, he's taller.
Let's just go from there. What a terrible therapist. But are you? I need to work it out first. I'm in the middle of what? Palpitation. So if we are different, maybe that's
okay.
something to watch and admire. Like, there's the problem. Like, people that are different can admire each other, learn to love each other, become close.
Yeah, and that's what people think. Like, well, wait a minute, Charlie. And it's like, but there's a mutual level of respect here. I mean, there is. I mean, amongst not just me and Charlie, but Mark and the whole team, because everybody's trying to bring something that doesn't exist anyplace else. It does not.
And like the conceit of this program was always, I was listening to the Red Shovel Network, the Wider Family, the Drew and Mike podcast.
Did you say Wider?
Soul of Detroit, ML Soul of Detroit. Wider, there she goes. But see, I'm good with that.
Living Good better
I'm
tweet
good
about
with
that.
that.
That's fat shaming.
I'm
If I don't see a tweet from Living Good because you're attacking me for being fat, I'm going to be super angry.
See, I'm hearing that wider, fatter. It's okay.
I was just
His nose was bleeding.
It was.
I'm like, it's your adenoids. They're too fat.
Hey. I want Chad to know.
I'm sorry, body shaming. There I go again.
I want to find out if I should be offended or not. I don't know.
He's full. He's not fat. He's full.
Me?
I say to him.
Yes, you're not fat.
No, I'm fat.
He goes, look at my necks. I go, what neck?
All of them. I know what I am. I'm comfortable with who I am and what I do.
You're not fat. Stop.
Conceit of the program was always, we're not going to sit around like it's some chat room and talk to people about news they already are chatting about, or you can turn on anywhere and they're chatting. There must be our own work. It must be something we're involved in, or we must know some principles involved in it when we're doing the news part of it. And we've always remained true to that. And we work hard. And
you demand excellence.
Oh my God.
That's the other thing. Let's not let that go, because there are a couple people like, no, that's not enough. It has to be here. And that's what you do with and for people that have a shared commitment. Like, you don't cut corners, and you don't let us cut corners. You're not supposed to.
We had to tank a Red piece today. We'll redo it. And when Red came on, he's a comedian, East Side Detroit comedian. And I go, with a little bit of training, the guy could be one of the best street reporters in this city. And I maintain that he is.
And he's committed. Like, he gets out there, he tries. I mean, and he does something that you do, and that's go to the people. That's something else that I've always admired about you that people don't do. You talk to people that other people stand back and assume about or guess about.
They're afraid of us, and they imprint upon us what we are, like what we should be feared, or we're ignorant, or or we're misogynist. You can be rough, but you can care. Again, power suits and silk ties.
Ugh.
A lot of you are my friends, but there's a clique and a crew running this country where they're criminals. You're not. I can't imagine any elected official just out there blasting me when you don't mention she's 90. She was a Democrat her whole life. Her bank account's getting empty. Allegedly, some insurance fraud is being committed in her name. The insurance company's very aware who's doing it, and I'm getting intel in there. I'm very careful at what I'm doing here, as you could see by the reaction. And you want to know, before Nestle even sent that bullshit press release to 30,531 subscribers in-house, inside the Detroit News, political writers were calling for its retraction when they didn't know. So there you go. Study it, put it on your wall.
Wait. Say that again.
I just said it.
No, something was lost on me there. You're saying before it was even published in-house, so they could see it and said they wanted it retracted?
Again, before Nestle posted her bullshit online, she was already talking to those that make their money on their knees in front of her. So she throws them cases like the 16 Republican fake electors. Fine, go get them, right? Or Wolverine Watchman documents. Fine, go get them. But none of them are asking her for her bill from Keiko's, or what really happened in Muskegon and the absentee ballot harvesting, or what happened in Benton Harbor with the water, or why she violated everybody's rights in Flint and was spreading around attorney-client information to everybody. They don't ask that.
Or Luann Simon.
Or Madam Whitmer, did you in fact, pay for the airplane because the businessmen could not, by law, cash the check you said you sent because they would lose their airplane. So you must answer that. We are in a very heavy time. You didn't merely a flesh wound. I went all in. I did.
But you
all in. I want everybody to pay attention to this old woman and what they're doing and why we haven't had an investigation into the thousands of people that died. Not accusing anybody anything. What was our reaction? What is our plan going forward?
That's a good question.
And the story was correct.
And I really would have felt sick if it wasn't. And I
Well,
would have apologized. I've made mistakes.
You wouldn't have written a story, Charlie, without making sure that what you were saying was substantiated.
Well, I'm human. So
I understand.
that's why you have
I understand
editors and you have colleagues. And what nobody knows is I have my lawyer read it, before I even put pen to paper. I just made my notes. I sent it to my lawyer. What are you seeing in it? Et cetera, et cetera. Other few people that I admire, like I knew it was very heavy. And then I shit all over it. I'm sorry, Nolan. I'm sorry, Gary. It was great. But nobody was seeing it. And that's not enough for this old woman. I'm sorry. So I don't care. I'm going to take the abuse. I'm a big boy. This ain't even close. So I would like to remind everybody how this started. The original case of Tracy Kornak and the whistleblowing. We have the tape. Do we have the tape?
We have the tape.
Can we play that?
We'll play it right
This
now.
is from last summer.
Tracy Kornak, a slip and fall lawyer from Grand Rapids and the treasurer of the Michigan Democratic Party, was accused last month by a nursing home director of trying to scam an insurance company of $50,000 in the name of an elderly, brain-damaged woman. That nursing home director, Joe LeBlanc, has since been fired.
That's not the reason they gave me, but I think that's pretty much it. But you know, what are you going to do? I feel like I did the right thing. If somebody came to me and said, I think your business manager is shady, like, I'd be grateful.
Meanwhile, Kornak and the Democrats are silent, hoping it all dies away. No way, we say. So we went to Grand Rapids to find Kornak's office.
Tracy Kornak?
No.
Was it ever?
I don't think so.
Nope, not here either. A P.O. box? What kind of law office is that? That's a very small, must be little furniture in that office.
Finding no office, we went to Kornak's house in suburban Grand Rapids.
Hello?
People were inside. I saw the blinds moving, but they pretended they weren't inside.
I'd like to talk to you about one of your clients, Ms. Did, in fact, your daughter apply $50,000 of care to this old woman? And why are you using somebody else's tax ID number? There's no record of your daughter being there. We'd like answers. We care about our old people.
And then someone screamed out the window.
Get the fuck out of that mailbox! I just caught you on camera!
Say what?
Get the fuck out of that mailbox! I just caught you on camera!
Let's hear that one more time.
Get the fuck out of that mailbox! I just caught you on camera!
MFer from the upstairs window. Not what I'd expect from one of the most powerful Democrats in Michigan.
That was friendly. Must be a lawyer.
Neighbor said, I shouldn't be surprised.
I moved in here. First thing she said to me was, move your car to away my mailbox while we're unpacking. So,
And ever since then, it's just been hate.
never spoke to me. Never waved, nothing.
Only that one time.
That's the only time I've ever spoken with her.
Really? And how long have you lived here?
6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So when my husband's outside, like we had somebody measuring for the property lines, you can't put up a fence there. That's my property line. So Guy said, no, it's not. That's the property line. So.
Tracy, why can't you be nicer to your neighbor Terry over here?
In the end, this is about the elderly of Michigan and how we treat them. Governor Gretchen Whitmer still refuses to address the true number of nursing home dead under her COVID policies. And her treasurer, Tracy Kornak, refuses to address $50,000 in mysterious billings she tried to pocket in the name of a brain-damaged woman. And the man who blew the whistle on this all, he's out on his ass.
I mean, at the end of the day, I want to look back and be able to say 5-10 years from now I did the right thing. And, to hell with the consequences, really. But, no, I knew what was going to happen. I knew this was going to come. And I really feel good about what was said and what was done.
And this is why people are afraid to do right by each other. The consequences.
That is the issue.
Joe's not afraid, and we're not afraid. We'll stay on this. We promise.
Promise. Now, as we reported last week, getting these documents, the crack investigation by Madam Nestle's office could not reach Joe LeBlanc, the nursing home director that was fired, because they kept calling the desk number that he was fired from. During that filming, right there, right at that time, I called the investigator on this phone, on speaker, and said, would you like to speak with them? No, just send the files, which I did. And under the Freedom of Information Act, I wanted to see that email that they got the file. That didn't show up in the packet, but I've got it. So you violated the Freedom of Information Act. And I want to know, as you said in this corrective letter, that Ms. Kornak got her case file by Freedom of Information like every other citizen would. I'm just curious. Put in the letter today. You forgot to give me that. When did she get her documents? Before the case was closed or after the case was closed? That'll be next as we await some charges or no charges. And even if there are no charges coming on in Grand Rapids, I get access to that file. See you next Thursday. No doubt about it. All right. Samantha Wall, president of the synagogue just down the street here. Everybody knew her in town. I knew her from, the synagogue Cafe de Mongo, pleasant woman, involved in politics, with Nestle and Slotkin, in fact. And, was trying to make a difference and moved to the city about 2012. First showed up on the scene. And, she was murdered Saturday. And it became, I got calls from the East Coast. First of all, she's not a rabbi. She's the president. But very much involved in restoring the only shul in downtown Detroit. What street is that? Is that Griswold? Yeah, down on Griswold. At first, everybody thought it could be Middle Eastern related, a hate crime. Because she's Jewish and we have a lot of Muslims living around here. I don't know why everybody did that immediately, but they did. And Sam was known for interfaith groups. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't any hater like that.
Right.
But it was kind of like everybody wanted it to be.
Well, it makes it easy, though. It makes it convenient. Everybody just automatically assumes and jumps to conclusions because it's easy.
Vivacious woman lost her life, murdered. I am because I didn't want New York to go crazy with the wrong idea. It should be accurate. And they're all calling me. And here's what I know. Do not take this as the final. The case is closed. But this is what I'm told by brass. They don't think. How do you know? They said it's not a hate crime. How do you know it's not a hate crime? They said, well, nothing points to it. It wasn't forcible entry, so it doesn't look like a robbery. Started in the home. Someone she knew. It looks. This is what I'm told, and they don't want to say it because things could change. Right. And I just want you to know this isn't the definitive, but kind of, yeah, what I was told, you know. It was domestic. It was if I can't have you, nobody can have it kind of thing. That's what I'm told, and that's misogyny. That's what's going on in society.
And it happens, Charlie, but you know, stabbing is a very personal and passionate crime. I mean, you're not shooting somebody from across very intimate. Yeah, it is. And so that would, well, it is, but you also think about the surgeon, you know, I mean, that still over there. And that was, you know, they stabbed him, wrapped him in a rug and left him upstairs. I mean, these things happen regardless of who the person is, how nice they are. Those that's life. It unfortunately it happens.
Be careful of the ones around you. And, you know, I mean, you bring up the surgeon. It is worth saying that around the same time, there's aren't definitive times where these murders happen. That's on the east side. Mm-hmm. On the west side, on Gilchrist Street, a unknown black male in his 20s was murdered, and that's it. Name hasn't been released. Not a word's been written about him. There are no suspects. There's nobody asking for help. There aren't investigators. You know, I went by there yesterday. There's no investigators out there. So.
No press conferences?
No press conferences.
Yeah, because it's another black male that's shot in the city of Detroit. Check another box. That's it.
You know, and things should be equal. And I'm not trying to drive a division here. What I'm trying to say is, what is the political argument when it comes to the sanctity and safety of life, right? You don't want police, or you want to not totally defund the police, but put less money towards police and that towards other things. But what happens when there's no police in a neighborhood or not enough detectives to solve the crime and the criminal is still out there?
It's true.
I mean, it made me think of Aisha Davis. Remember the transgender woman that was killed at 6 and Woodward? A week after we were at 6 and Woodward talking to the transgender prostitutes, because that's where the violence against transgender people predominantly exists, is on the street life like that. And nothing. There's no arrest. Highland Park, where it happened, can't even investigate murders. They don't have enough police, nor enough police to keep that very heavy corner safe. So if you want people like Aisha safe, you gotta have police. This doesn't make me fucking Ronald Reagan here or Newt Gingrich.
But there's always a political or a popularity side to these things. I mean, because otherwise, who cares about an unknown transgender person on 6 Mile and Woodward? I mean, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we're told, we're told to, like, the big scourge in America is violence towards transgender people, and you're not doing a damn thing about it except parading around and having press conferences.
And I'll tell you this too: police departments, law enforcement departments, everywhere are having difficulty with recruitment and retention. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you're also looking, and they don't want to disclose that because, does it open it up for the criminals?
No, everybody knows that.
Well, but
they tell everybody that.
They're not there.
Where the fuck are we going? Okay, now there's also, like, and let me make something clear before it gets lost as I introduce this. There are a lot of great, I don't like using journalists. Mm-hmm. That's the people who wear silk suits and knee pads. You know what I mean? There are a lot of great reporters around here. I won't mention their names because I don't want my stink to stick to them. You know what I mean? But they're people I call the ones that are like for real. Mm-hmm. And thank you for doing that job. Now, having said that, there's not a want anymore by the media to cover crime. I mean, for whatever reason, I'm not even going to go into this bullshit. But if you don't cover the police like a political entity, then you can't keep track of the police. And what do you do with suspect cops, right? And there's a whole big argument that was going on. And we had Red go to the scene of a place where a cop punched a guy and he ended up dying, and the story kept changing, and he met up with former cop Ricardo Moore, who is now a Detroit police commissioner, and this is what he has.
I'm right outside the Garden Bowl right here on Woodward Avenue in Detroit, Michigan, where on September 1st, a Detroit police officer had an encounter with an intoxicated 70-year-old citizen from a disturbing the peace call. In their exchange, they ended up in a fisticuff where Officer Brown ended up punching Mr. Vance in the face, knocking him out, where he fell off the curb and hit his head on the cement. For the next 3 weeks, he was in a coma until he passed. On the 4th, Chief White came out and suspended Officer Brown for nothing else but at least not de-escalating the situation. On the 11th, through leaked memos from the chief's desk, we find out that he recommended suspension with pay. But only 4 days later, from another obtained leaked memo, he changed that recommendation to suspension without pay. First of all, tell everybody who you are.
Police Commissioner Ricardo Moore, District 7, West Side of Detroit.
And exactly what is your job for those who may not understand what a police commissioner does?
As a police commissioner, we have supervisory oversight over the police department. We provide checks and balances. We approve the budget, policies, and citizen complaints as our primary functions.
You are in no form or fashion against the police doing their job.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I was the police here in the city of Detroit, so I understand the pains and pressures that they go through.
Yeah. How many cases do you think exist now that we really have not gotten the transparency we should?
Unfortunately, I want to see all the body-worn cameras on every major critical incident. Whenever you talk about a police shooting a person, critically injuring a person, we should see those body-worn cameras within a week, because this is a major issue. The underground circle in Detroit, people are tired of the police doing these type of things. But it doesn't start with the police, it starts with leadership. Corruption does not start in the police academy or in the scout car, it starts in the chief's office. Every police book will tell you that. I'm not making that up. So if the citizens like what they're getting, then they're gonna keep getting it, and it's gonna be worse and worse. But you have to start holding the chief accountable. You have to start holding the board of police commissioners accountable, because right now it's just a rubber stamp from the board and there's no checks and balances.
Would you call this a cover-up?
Absolutely, attempted cover-up, because now it's exposed. So everybody knows about it, except the media is not on it like I would like them to be. The media should be all over this.
NBN News reached out to Chief White and has yet to hear a response.
Well, that's interesting in the sense that almost other major jurisdictions, when there's a notable interaction like that with the police and the citizens, something questionable, that tape's out. Not here. We don't even have data like crimes of the day, or if you look for Detroit's violent crime for the week or for the year, it doesn't exist.
In most other cities it does.
Just about everyone, and the ones that don't, like Philly, you know, our friend Benny Manis, he's taken upon himself. He's got a nonprofit going. They're going to do it, and we're going to do it. And I want to thank Scanner 911, for going over the crime of last Saturday and finding that. And I think maybe we're going to partner up, because we're not going away. We're going to partner up. We're going to get this shit straightened out. We're not afraid. You deserve better. Don't worry. If you hate me, fuck it. No one hates me worse than me. Okay? That's it. And when I die, and if God is like I'm told it is, and I'm being judged, I hope the Lord Almighty has at least some room for me in purgatory. You know, give me a chance. Give me a do-over. Give me a chance. Some people pray for me. I pray for my man Rupert. Leave my people alone. If you're angry at me, just be angry at me. I'm good with it. No quarter. Yeah. I'll see you next Thursday.
Beat me too.
Do you hate me?
Next Thursday.
I don't hate you. No.